Hello, everyone. Hi, and a very good afternoon. Am I audible and visible to everyone? Can you hear me? Is my video visible? Okay. If I'm audible, visible, please raise your hand so that I understand that my voice is getting on the other side of the screen. And on the other side of screen are you guys, right? Okay. So everything seems to be fine. Well, I welcome you to this brand new crash course. And I think today is your first class. So let us start today's class. Uh, may I know? You must have appeared, all of you must have appeared in the JEE mains, all the attempts. What has been your percentile? Can you let me know? What are your percentile? I hope you know, I hope you are acquainted with Zoom meeting. I hope you have attended classes on Zoom meeting. Do you know how to interact? Do you know how to chat? Do you know how to send messages? Do you know how to raise hands? Are you all aware of this? Okay, I think you are aware of this, and that's a good sign. Now, before getting into this class thing, let me tell you some important facts and some things that you must always remember while in the class. First thing is keep your mobile cameras off. Okay, keep your mobile cameras off. Now, the reason for your mobile cameras to be off is if you keep them on, that will take a lot of your data. You will consume a lot of data, and you might end up eating all your data. So you might not be able to attend the rest of the class. Moreover, if you keep your mobile camera on, you might find that the video that we are broadcasting that you are seeing on your mobile phone, it might get stuck in between. The screen might get stuck. It's just because of the internet speed. So you have to be very careful about your internet data and your internet speed. Keep your mobile cameras off. Okay, that is the first thing that you must remember. Secondly, sit in a place where the network is good. So sit in a place where you find good network so that you don't have all these network related issues. Because if the network is not good, Zoom will throw you out. You will not be able to come back in, and you will face a lot of trouble. Thirdly, I think you're all acquainted with Zoom. You know how to send messages. If you can see in the list of the participants, you will see me coming by two names. One is Astik Udenia, co-host, on which you see the video camera. That is the ID I use to carry out your class. There is one more ID which is only in the name of Astik, which does not have a video camera, which does not have a speaker on. You can send your messages, your chat, anything that I ask, any doubts on this ID. Or you can do it at the ID everyone. You can send the message to everyone. If you send the message to everyone, I will also see it. Am I clear with this? Can I have some raised hand that I understand this? That all of you on the other side are able to understand the instructions? See, I've always said this, and I always keep telling all my students for online classes, especially if any teaching, any class, well done, Harshit. Harshit, if any class, any lecture is a one-way lecture wherein only the teacher or the faculty is speaking and the rest of the class, when asked to answer, doesn't answer, doesn't respond, especially in online classes, it becomes very boring. It becomes very painful. I don't understand. See, you are not in front of me, so I don't know. Otherwise, looking at the expression of a child, you can understand whether a child has understood something or not. You're on the other side of the screen. I don't see you guys. If I see you, you have to Keep your mobile cameras on. You will consume data. So I can't see you. So if you can respond back by raising your hands or by sending messages, as I have suggested, it will be a good exercise that will make me understand that my thing is getting clear. So Jagan has raised hand. If you have any doubt, you can always raise hands. I can ask you to unmute yourself and we can discuss your doubt. Moreover, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to allow you to unmute yourself on your own. So if you want to ask anything, you can unmute yourself by raising hands. As I see Jagan is raising hand. Jagan, do you want to ask anything? You can unmute yourself and ask. Jagan, Babu. Okay, nothing. Anyways, so you can unmute yourself and ask. And if you have to send anything, any doubt, you are well free to ask it in the class. Okay, this is a crash course, so everything will be running at a good speed. I hope you understand that we have to finish it in a limited time. Just 5 minutes of your time I'll take and I'll make you understand how this goes. So we'll be doing a lot of questions. We'll be doing theory as well. So I would tell you theory in the shortest possible way, which I understand, which is important for you. Since it is a crash course, that doesn't mean that we are only going to do questions. I'll give you the basic theory because without theory, it becomes difficult for you to solve the questions. Just a brief introduction of what I am and what I've done. My name is Astik Udenia, and I cleared IIT JEE. It was not known as JEE, it was known as IIT JEE in the year 1997. Way past. I don't think you would be alive. You would be born at that point in time. My rank was 1826, and from 2001, I've been teaching. I've taught at many various places, any good institute around about India, Kota, everywhere. Delhi, I've taught. What have I achieved in all these years? 2015, my student Sankalp Gaur, he topped the JEE mains exam. He was JEE mains AIR 1. JEE mains AIR 1. He also topped BITSAT. He also topped the KVPY. He also topped the board exam. He represented India in IPHO. I hope you know what the meaning of IPHO is, International Physics Olympiad. So he represented India there. 2020, another student of mine, Aditya Kudre, online classes. He was completely online. He scored 100 percentile in physics in JEE mains. His rank was 17 in mains and 20 in advanced AIR 20. That is what. There is also exam known as BARC. JEE mains is two paper. Paper 1, paper 2. Paper 2 is for BARC. He was AIR 1 in BARC. 2021, this year, one of my students who taught in 10th standard, Gargi. She is an all India topper. 13 students in mains attempt 2 got 100 percentile. He is one of those 13. Anyway, that's all about me and what I have done. And let us begin today's class with the first known chapter. And that chapter is known as motion. Motion in a straight line or motion. Now, before starting with the chapter, may I know your thoughts? What do you mean by motion? What do you mean by rest? What do you mean by motion? Do you have any idea what is rest? What is motion? So that we can quickly understand each other and move ahead. What do you mean by rest? What do you mean by motion? Anyone? No one has any idea about rest and motion? I hope many of you are doing the offline classes somewhere. I heard Narayana, Chaitanya. That's what I heard. You must be at least aware of what do you mean by rest and motion. Can anyone tell me an exact definition of rest and motion? Rest. What do you mean by rest? If a particle, first of all, you must understand that rest and motion are relative terms. Do we know the meaning of relative terms? Do we know the meaning of relative term? Rest and motion are relative term. What do you mean by relative term? Einstein once said that nothing in this universe is absolute, everything is relative. What do you mean by relative? By relative, we mean that they depend on something known as reference frames. They depend on something known as reference frame. Rest and motion both are dependent, are relative terms. They depend on reference frame. For example, in the reference frame of ground, if you see me with respect to ground, you won't see any motion. I am at rest with respect to ground. But imagine someone watching me from space. He will see that the earth is rotating on its axis as well as earth is moving around the sun. Now, if this person sees me, he is definitely not going to see me at rest. He is going to see me in motion. Another example, two people sitting in a bus and the bus is moving with respect to ground. When they look at each other, these two people, they are sitting in the bus, what they see, they both see that they are at rest with respect to each other. But imagine a person who is standing on ground. When he looks at the two person who are sitting in the bus, what does he see? He sees that both the people, both persons, both gentlemen are moving ahead, are moving ahead. That means to each other, these people are at rest, but to the third person who is on ground, they are in motion. So we cannot call rest and motion as absolute terms. There is nothing absolute in this universe. Everything is relative. Everything is with respect to something. Rest and motion are with respect to reference frame. Can I have some raised hand that we understand this? Rest and motion are relative terms. They are defined with respect to reference frames. No one understands this? Can I have some raised hand that we understand this? Only Ashrit. What about the others? Vijay Lakshmi, Bhojaraju, I think you were there in the class. Vardhan, Vamshi, Sudha, Sai, Sanjay, Jyoti, Malvika, Mahesh, Sai, Jainath, Bhagyati, Dikshita, Brijesh, Sanjana, Krishna, Sai Teja. Do we understand this? Yes, so let us make it interactive so that once you understand it, once I have raised hand, I can just move ahead. So rest and motion are relative terms. You might have idea about reference frame. Do you have any idea about reference frame? What are the types of reference frame that you're going to study? We'll be coming to those reference frame. There are basically two types of reference frame. Can anyone tell me what are the two types of reference frame? Since you are a dropper batch, I hope that you know what are the two types of reference frame that are there. What are the two types of reference frames that are there? No one knows it? One type of reference frame is known as inertial reference frame. The other one is known as non-inertial reference frame. Have you heard this term, inertial and non-inertial? Yes or no? Please let me know. Inertial and non-inertial. What are inertial reference frame? What are inertial reference frame? Yes, Vamshi knows it. Vamshi, what are inertial reference frame? Now, there are some frame of references which are at rest or which are moving with a constant velocity. Now again, the correct definition would be quite confusing. So please understand them. They are at rest or moving with constant velocity. But again, when I say rest, this rest is a relative term. So this rest must be with respect to something else. With respect to what? With respect to another inertial reference frame. Now the definition gets fishy. For example, if I call Earth as inertial reference frame, please pay attention to your class. This entire whiteboard, I will convert it into a PDF and you will get this PDF in your group. So the entire thing that I'm writing here, you will get it as PDF in your group and you can read it again. But what I'm speaking is not what you're going to get in a PDF. You can again watch my lecture if something is missing. But whenever, and this is a crash course, you may not be able to write very fast. You can write it afterwards. Listen carefully and write whatever you think is important. Am I clear? Can I raise hand? How do we go about this? You listen to me very carefully. I will talk slowly as possible. You listen to me very carefully. The entire thing that I write on the whiteboard will be available to you after the class. The entire video lecture will be available to you after the class. If you can't write, don't write. Listen. Okay. So, with respect to inertial reference frame, if I take Earth as an inertial reference frame, anything which is at rest with respect to Earth or moving with a constant velocity with respect to Earth is also an inertial reference frame. The next question is Earth an inertial reference frame? And the answer is no. Answer is no. Earth is not an inertial reference frame. Earth is moving around the sun. So then you can take sun as an inertial reference frame. But then sun is moving around the center of the solar system. Yes, Vamshi. Then the center of the solar system could be an inertial reference frame, but that is moving around the center of the galaxy Milky Way. Then the center of the galaxy Milky Way can be a inertial reference frame. No, because the center of the galaxy Milky Way is moving around the center of the universe. Then the center of the universe could be inertial reference frame. But yeah, we know that the universe is expanding. So as such, there is no inertial reference frame. If you want to take a very good example of an inertial reference frame, a very distant star can be taken as an example of a inertial reference frame. Or if you want to have inertial reference frame, you imagine yourself in space and you are separated. You are far, far, far away from every known thing in the universe. Just now I read that there is a large blank space in the universe. We call them the hole. There's a large blank space in the universe where there is nothing. So probably you are there. If you are there and you are not attracted by anything else, you are an inertial reference frame. So the definition of inertial reference frame becomes very, very fishy. For us to solve problems in physics at this level, which is the reference frame that is taken as inertial reference frame for our problems? Anyone? So the problem that we solve in physics in your standard, what reference frame is taken as inertial reference frame to solve problems? Anyone? Yes, who said this? Sorry, I'm not able to recognize the voices. Jagan, you said this or who said this?
Hi sir, Teja.
Okay, beta. Ashit. ठीक है. Ground or earth becomes an inertial reference frame for all the problems that we are going to do in this chapter and the coming 4 or 5 chapters. So anything which is on earth or anything which is moving with a constant velocity with respect to earth is the inertial reference frame. That is inertial reference. Rest and motion are relative terms. Now, how do I define rest? If a particle does not change its position with respect to time, then the particle is said to be at rest in the given reference frame. So in a given reference frame, for example, reference frame of Earth, I am a particle and I don't move, I don't change my position, then I become at rest with respect to Earth. But with respect to something else, I might be in motion. So that is how I define motion. Motion and rest both are relative terms, both are defined in terms of reference frames. If a particle changes its position with time in a given reference frame, it is said to be in motion in the given reference frame. Do we understand this? The motion, the definition of rest and motion. Do we understand this? Raise hands will give me more confidence that we have understood this so that I can move forward. This is about rest and motion. Then we come into the terms that we are going to use. The first term that we are going to use is distance. What do you mean by distance? What do you mean by distance? These are point A and B, and I move from A to B in a path. I move from A to B in a path. What is distance? The length of this path, L. The length of this path, total length. Yes, Vamshi. That is correct. Total length of this path is known as distance. SI unit is meters. It is always positive. Distance cannot be negative. It is a scalar quantity. It can be added or subtracted just like numbers. Do we all agree on this? Can we move forward? The next word that you might have heard, the next term that you might have heard is displacement. What do you mean by displacement? What do you mean by displacement? Now, whenever you are studying the motion, you are studying the motion with respect to some reference frame. No, it is not shortest distance. I don't know who has given you this definition, Vamshi, that is wrong. X and Y are the reference frame, the two X and Y are the two axes, and this is my reference frame, point O. Now, from point O, what I'm going to draw is a vector OB. This vector OB is known as PV, position vector of B with respect to O. So basically, this vector is telling me the position of B with respect to O. Similarly, I draw a vector OA. What is this OA vector tell me? This OA vector tells me the position of A with respect to B. Am I clear? Can I have some raise hand that we are clear, sir? So basically, if there is a particle and we are studying the motion of this particle with respect to some reference frame, initially the particle is at point A. It has a position vector OA. Finally, the particle is at point B. Position vector is OB. Its position vector has changed. Its position vector has what? Its position vector has changed. The change in the position vector delta R. Oh, oops. Let me draw it with a different color. The color that I use is green. So the particle has moved from A to B. It has changed its position. Delta standing for change. R standing for position. Symbol standing for vector. Change in position vector is known as displacement. And in this case, the displacement is the vector AB vector. I know some of you would have read it as shortest distance. Shortest distance has got nothing to do with this. You can call it in a different way. The vector AB is known as the displacement vector. That is the correct definition of displacement vector. Can I have some reason that we understand this? Particle has changed its position from A to B. The vector AB is known as its displacement vector. Now it has two things. It has magnitude and it has direction. Now the magnitude of this can be called as the shortest distance. So if you have ever heard shortest distance, the magnitude of this displacement vector is the shortest distance and the direction is from initial to the final position. That is the direction. Remember, displacement is a vector. If there is a vector, it must have two things. What are those two things that a vector must have? It must have magnitude, it must have direction. Magnitude and direction becomes vector. AB is the displacement vector. Am I clear? Shall we move ahead? Can I have some raise hand that we have understood this, sir? I hope I am not going fast. Vamshi has understood this. What about the others? See, if I ask each and everyone, I will be wasting a lot of time. The time is not a privilege that we have. So please raise hand as soon as I say so that I can move forward. Now, after distance and displacement, the next thing that you would have learned is velocity. Do we understand velocity? Velocity is a vector, yes or no? Velocity is a vector, yes or no? Now, there might be different types of velocities that you would have read. Let us all think about is one is known as average velocity. I hope you have learned this term. One is known as instantaneous velocity. The third one is known as uniform velocity. And the fourth one can be called as non-uniform velocity. I hope you are aware of this. Now, what do you mean by average velocity? Average velocity, I will write it like this. V standing for velocity, this standing for vectors, and this dabba standing for average. Average velocity is delta R divided by delta T. Delta R. What do you mean by delta R? It is total displacement divided by total time. Am I clear? Average velocity is total displacement divided by total time. If I go from home to school, I have a total displacement. I spend some time. Total displacement divided by total time will give me the average velocity. Do we all agree on this? That is average velocity. Now, at different points in my journey, if I go from A to B, I go in this path. At different points in my journey, point C, point D, point E, point F, point G, I will have different velocities. That velocity is known as instantaneous velocity. Am I clear? Am I clear? How do I get instantaneous velocity? I differentiate position vector with respect to time. You might have read rate of change of displacement with time. The correct definition is rate of change of position vector with time. Doesn't matter. You understand that V vector is dr by dt. This V is known as instantaneous velocity. Am I clear? Can I have some raised hand that we understand this, sir? Quick revision of definitions we are doing. Are we all there? Mahesh, Vishnu, Vamshi, Teja, Sudha, Sai, Sanjay, Brijesh, Bhagyati, Aryan, Jyoti, Malvika, Krishna. Okay. Uniform velocity means velocity remains same. Velocity is same. So velocity remains same in magnitude. Velocity remains same in direction. That velocity is known as uniform velocity. If the velocity is non-uniform, velocity is changing. Velocity is changing. Now it can change in magnitude, it can change in direction, it can change in both. It can change in magnitude, it can change in direction, it can change in both. Who is going to change velocity? Which thing changes velocity? What is rate of change of velocity known as? What changes velocity? When the velocity is changing, we say that the particle is accelerated. Do we understand the term acceleration? Do we understand the term acceleration? When the velocity is changing, we call it acceleration. The body is getting accelerated. How can the velocity change in magnitude? If the velocity is like this, red one, and the acceleration is like this, same direction, what will happen to velocity? What will happen to velocity? There are two cases I have drawn. Yes, this is case number one. This is case number one. This is case number one. In this case, velocity will increase. This is case number two. Velocity will decrease. So this is velocity changing in magnitude. Am I clear? Velocity changing in magnitude. Now look at these cases. Velocity is like this, and acceleration is perpendicular. Velocity is like this, and acceleration is perpendicular. In this case, what will happen? In this case, what will happen? Velocity will only change in direction. This type of change in velocity is known as change in direction. Can you think of an example where velocity only changes in direction? Is there an example where velocity only changes in direction? What is the example? Anyone? Do you know of an example where velocity changes in direction? Yes, that example is uniform circular motion. Have you heard about uniform circular motion? Yes, uniform circular motion. The particle keeps on moving in a circle. The speed remains same, but the velocity keeps on changing. Why does velocity keep on changing? Because the particle is accelerated. We call it centripetal acceleration. Velocity and acceleration are always at 90 degrees. How do I change velocity and velocity both in magnitude and direction? If the velocity is like this and the acceleration is like this, or like this, or like this, or like this, in all these cases, velocity will change in magnitude as well as in direction. Am I clear? Can I move forward? Am I clear with the concept of how velocity changes in magnitude as well as in direction? Raise hands, please, so that I can move forward.
Yes, sir.
Ashrit, Mahesh, what about the others? Vijay Lakshmi, Vishnu, Vamshi, Teja, Sudha, Sai, Prasad, Sanjay. All of us are there. Okay. You might have heard about speed. Let us just go through speed. Speed. Again, I can classify them into 4 types. Average speed. Second one will be known as instantaneous speed. Third one is known as uniform speed. And the fourth one is known as non-uniform speed. What is average speed? I write average speed like this without the vector sign. Average speed is total distance divided by total time. You go from home to school. You cover a distance of 5 kilometers. You cover a distance of 5 kilometers in 10 minutes. Your average speed becomes total distance divided by total time. Whenever you say speed is distance divided by time, you are talking about average speed. Now, while you are going again let us refer to the same figure. While you are going again from A to B at different points, you will have different speeds. That is known as your instantaneous speed. Speed at any point. That is known as your instantaneous speed. You might be having a bike. In bike, there is a mileometer. There is a speedometer. We call it speedometer because it tells you your speed. And which speed is it telling us? It is telling us instantaneous speed. As soon as you put the accelerator on, your speed increases. You put the accelerator off, put your brakes, your speed decreases. That is your instantaneous speed. Am I clear? Instantaneous speed. The speed at any point. Now, what is the relation between instantaneous speed and instantaneous velocity? In instantaneous speed, you add direction, you get instantaneous velocity. Instantaneous speed, you add direction, you get instantaneous velocity. What do you mean by uniform speed? Speed remains same. Speed remains same. What do you mean by non-uniform speed? Speed changes with time. Am I clear? Speed remains same and speed changes with time. What next? Speed is done, velocity is done. The next thing is acceleration. Acceleration. Now again, in this acceleration, you can further divide it into 4 different categories. One is known as average acceleration. The second one is known as instantaneous acceleration. The third one is known as uniform acceleration. The fourth one is known as non-uniform acceleration. What is average acceleration? Average acceleration is denoted by this letter, A average. It is total change in velocity divided by total time. Total change in velocity means final velocity minus initial velocity divided by time. This thing is known as average acceleration. At one point, your velocity is something. At other point, your velocity is something. Difference in velocity is divided by time. Instantaneous acceleration is the rate of change of instantaneous velocity dv by dt. Now, uniform acceleration means acceleration is same. It never changes. It does not change in magnitude. It does not change in direction. Non-uniform acceleration, acceleration is changing. So if you can understand even one of these, if you understand velocity, you should be able to understand speed. you should be able to understand acceleration because all are defined in a similar way. Am I clear? Up till here, have we understood the meaning of the various terms that we are going to use? Yes or no? Can I have some reason that we understand this? That we have understood this, we have understood the basic definition. You can always have a look at the lecture after the class. Please raise hands so that I understand. Vishal, Bhojaraju, Vishnu, Vamshi, Teja, Sudha, Sai, Sanjay. Okay, great. Now, you might have heard about equations of motion. Now, let us quickly understand these equations of motion for constant acceleration. For constant acceleration, what are the equation of motion? Number one. What are the equation of motion? Number one. What are the equations of motion? Number one, this is for constant acceleration. V vector is equal to u vector plus a vector into t. Have you seen this equation? Now, I am writing this equation in vector form. I am writing this equation in vector form. This means they are applicable for 1D, 2D, or 3D. They are applicable whether the motion is in 1D, whether the motion is in 2D, or whether the motion is in 3D. Now, for 1D motion, what we are going to do? So I'll just write for 1D motion. Instead of using the vector sign, we are not going to use the vector sign. Instead of vector sign, we will use sign convention. We'll use sign convention. Now, what is the sign convention I use? Right hand side, positive x-axis, everything is positive. Something is on the left hand side, it is negative. Something going up is positive. Something coming down is negative. So when you make equation on y-axis, this is the sign convention we use. If you make equation on the x-axis, this is the sign convention we use. So side by side, we will write equation for 1D motion. Equation number one in vector form is v vector is equal to u vector plus at. How will I write the same equation with sign convention? I will just write it as v is equal to u plus at. I have removed the vector sign. Vector means we are talking about vectors. The vector sign means we are talking about vectors. I have removed that sign, and instead of this sign, I will take plus minus. If it is along x-axis, this is plus, this is minus. If it is along y-axis, this is plus, this is minus. Do we understand this? Can I have some raise hand that we understand this, sir? This is how we will write equations. As soon as I write vector sign, many a time student gets scared. Sir, vectors, we are not very comfortable with vectors, sir. Please don't use vector sign. So I will never use vector sign. I will never write vectors, but I will write equations in this form. But remember, whenever you write equation in this form, please use signs, plus and minus. If you don't use signs, that means you have forgotten the direction, and it will be a big pain if you forget the direction. Number two, I write displacement like this. Displacement will be written like this: ut plus half a t square. Do you understand this? Displacement is ut plus half a t square. You might rise instead of r, you can write s vector. I don't know why displacement is written by s vector. I write it as delta r. So I'll give you your choice. If I have to write it in the normal form without vectors, I will write it like this: ut plus half a t square. Am I clear? Then I will use proper signs. Number three equation, v square is equal to u square plus 2a vector dot r vector. I hope you know that there is a dot product over here. Number three equation in the scalar form will be u square plus 2 times a into delta r. If you don't want to call delta r, you can call it as s. Equation number 4, which is valid for uniform acceleration, I don't know if you know this equation or not, but this equation for uniform acceleration, constant acceleration, average velocity is v plus u by 2. This is a very good equation that can help us in solving some very tough problems very easily. Okay, so these are my equations of motion. Do we all understand this? Can I have raised hands? Yes, sir, we understand this. Great, great, well done, well done. Now in this equation, if I want to make this equation, and I will just use a different pen, I will use green pen. If I want to write this equation for motion under gravity, if I want to write this equation for motion under gravity, what change do I need to make? What change do I need to make? I just need to remember that for motion under gravity, this A becomes G. This A becomes G. This acceleration becomes G. And yes, Jayant, this G is always downwards. This G is always downwards. Whether you throw the ball up or you throw the ball down, G doesn't change. G is always downwards. So in all my questions, I will just use, instead of A, I will use G. In place of A, remember, I will use G. And G is always downwards. Therefore, I will always use minus. If you just make that small change, all equations are valid for motion under gravity. All equations are valid for motion under gravity. Just replace A by G, and G is always negative because it is always downwards. Am I clear? Can I move ahead? Now remember, these equations of motion that you have written are valid whether the motion takes place in 1D, 2D or 3D. The equation that I have written here is only valid for 1D with proper sign convention. If I want it to write for x-axis, what will I do? I will just write x here. Vx means final velocity along x. Ux means initial velocity along x. Ax means acceleration along x. For x-axis, I may write, instead of displacement, I will write x. X will be equal to ux into t plus half ax square, axt square. Vx square, ux square, ax multiplied by x. Delta v, average along x, v along x, u along x divided by 2. Do we understand this? How do I just change it? For x-axis, I'll just use x. For y-axis, I'll just use y. And the same equation are valid everywhere. Do we understand this? Can I have some raise hand that we understand this, sir? Nothing has changed. Same equations, everything. Just I put x for x-axis, y for y-axis, and I'm done. Only 3 people have understood this. What about the rest? Don't sleep in the class. Vishal, Vishnu, Vardhan, Vijay Lakshmi, Sudha, Shrikar, Jyoti, everyone. You can give a thumbs up, you can give a wave, anything, but just remain in the class. Okay. Now these are the 4 equations, but they are only valid for constant acceleration. Now there must be equation, general equation. So general equations always valid. General equations always valid. Always valid. General equation always valid for all dimensions. So in green, I will write those equations. So they are valid in 1D, 2D, 3D. Doesn't matter. 1D, 2D, 3D. On the left hand side, what I'll write in blue. General equations. For one dimension with proper signs. They must be written with signs because I am not using vectors. General equations. Now the general equations are basically definitions. General equations are basically definitions. Remember, these 4 equations that I see here, these 4, they're only valid for constant acceleration. They are not valid if the acceleration changes. Remember this. But the equation on this side are always valid for all dimensions, green one. For all For one dimension, W1. The first equation. The first equation is V average vector के साथ delta R divided by delta T, total displacement divided by total time, or you can write displacement as average velocity multiplied by time. This equation is always valid because it is the definition of average velocity. Definition cannot be changed. How will I write this equation? How will I write this equation in the blue one, which is only valid for one dimension? I take the vector sign away. V average is equal to delta R divided by delta T. Now, if you want to write it in X, you will just write X. And instead of R, you can write X. If you want to write it in Y, just put Y here. And instead of X, put Y. If you want to write it for Z axis, just put Z here and Z there. Do you all understand this? Can I move ahead? Do you all understand this? So I can write the equation for one axis in the blue one. Do we understand this? Raise hands will give me more confidence that we are there. Okay. This was average velocity. Number 2, average acceleration. Average acceleration. Total change in velocity, it is the definition. So that becomes V minus U divided by T. How will I write this equation here? Fatafat. How will I write this equation here? Acceleration, I had taken out the vector sign. Total change in velocity divided by total time. Fatafat. V minus U divided by T. If I want to write it for X, just put X here, X here, X here, and I'm done. Am I clear? Third one, instantaneous velocity, dr by dt. dr by dt. Here, how do I write it? Vx, velocity along x, is dx by dt. If it is x-axis. If it is y-axis, I can write it as dy by dt. If it is z-axis, I can write it as dz by dt. Do we all understand this? Can I move forward? Do we all understand this? Left hand side green, valid everywhere, all dimension. Right hand side blue, only for one dimension you can write. For x-axis, vx, dx by dt. Y-axis, dy by dt, and so on. Can I have some raise hand that you understand this, sir? No problem, sir. This is pretty damn simple. Okay. Acceleration, this is instantaneous acceleration. Remember the symbols here. See, this is average acceleration, this is instantaneous acceleration. Remember here, average velocity, instantaneous velocity. I'm using the same symbols here. Acceleration, instantaneous acceleration. It becomes dv vector by dt, valid in all dimensions, valid everywhere. Here, if I have to find acceleration ka x component, it will be dvx by dt. If I want to find acceleration ka y component, dvy by dt. If I want to find acceleration ka z component, it will be dvz by dt. Am I clear? Do you all understand this? Can I have some raise hand? Have you understood this, sir? No problem whatsoever. Clear? Only 3 people have understood this. No. Vijay, Bojraju, Vishnu, Vishal, okay, Goda, Sudha, Rajni, Babu, well done. I hope we are on the same platform. Now look at this equation, which is only valid in the, here I am not writing equation number 5, only valid here. So this equation looks like this: ax is equal to vx dvx by dx. Have you seen this equation, anyone? Ax is, you might not have seen in this way, but I am writing in this way. Ax is vx into dvx by dx. What will be ay equal to, anyone? What will be ay equal to? Oops, ay will be equal to vy dvy by dy, and az will be equal to vz dvz by dz. Okay, great. We have understood general equation. The last thing that we have to understand, whether it's 1D, 2D, or 3D, is relative motion. Let us go through this relative motion also, so that There are no hurdles for us while solving problem. Now, relative motion. Now I ask you, what is relative motion? What is relative motion? How it is different from what we were doing till now? How is relative motion? You might have read it as a different topic. How is relative motion different from what we are doing? Trust me, there is nothing different. Up till now, whatever equations we had written, let me take the example of this equation. Whatever equation we had written, the equation were written with respect to a frame of reference. Yes, Mahesh. They were written with respect to ground. We did not mention any frame of reference. They were written with respect to ground. This equation should have been like this. Equation of A, any body, with respect to G, ground. Initial velocity of A with respect to ground. Acceleration of A with respect to ground. Displacement of A with respect to ground. Initial velocity of A with respect to ground. Acceleration of A with respect to ground. Are you getting my point? This should have been the way I should have written all the equations, even here, of A with respect to ground. Total displacement of A with respect to ground. Are you getting my point or not? This were written with respect to ground. In relative motion, what we do, that instead of ground, we write the equation with respect to any other moving body. Why we have to do this? You must have seen questions, especially in Newton's laws of motion, where you have a wedge. We'll be solving such question where you have a wedge and you have some sort of a pulley arrangement like this, and then you have a mass like this, and then you leave this mass goes like this pulley goes like this. You must have seen these type of questions. They might have troubled you a lot. Now, if we try to understand or imagine the motion of this block with respect to ground, it is very complicated. It is very complicated. With respect to ground, it is very complicated. But if we see its motion sitting on the top of this, and then I see its motion with respect to the wedge, the motion is pretty damn simple. Because with respect to the wedge, this is always going to move along the wedge. Yes or no? Do you understand this? Since you are in the dropper batch, since you are in the crash course batch, you must be able to relate. The question becomes simpler when we stand on the top of the wedge and then start to study motion. That is why this relative motion becomes very important, because in some cases, we will be studying motion of a body not with respect to ground, but with respect to earth. But even if we are studying the motion with respect to earth, that is also relative motion. With respect to other body, that is also relative motion. All motion are relative. All rest are relative, because we go back to the first heading that we wrote. What is the first heading that we wrote? Rest and motion are relative terms. So everything is relative. So how do we solve questions on relative motion? It's pretty damn simple. You just write the equations in vector form. Position vector of A with respect to B will be equal to position vector of A with respect to ground minus position vector of B with respect to ground. Have you seen this equation anywhere? Have you seen this equation? Position vector of A with respect to B is position vector of A with respect to ground minus position vector of B with respect to ground. Can I have some raise hand that we have seen this equation? Yes. Now, if I just put delta here, delta means it is change in position vector. Change in position vector becomes your displacement vector. So displacement of A with respect to B will be equal to displacement of A with respect to ground minus displacement of B with respect to ground. Do we understand this? Do we understand this? Two equations. First is equation number 1. Second is equation number 2. Now, if I differentiate equation number 1, it will be derivative of position vector. Derivative of position vector becomes velocity. So velocity of A with respect to B becomes velocity of A with respect to G minus velocity of B with respect to G. Do we understand this? Can I have some reason that we understand this, sir? Great. Only 3 people have understood this. Not good, not good, not good, not good. Participation is very important, and in this crash course, it is way more important. Vishal, Vishnu, Vamshi, where are you? Sudha, Mahesh, Bhagyarathi, Bhagyavati, Aryan, Gajala, Dikshita. Everyone should participate here. The last but not the least is acceleration of A with respect to ground. I will differentiate this equation with time. Will be equal to acceleration of A with respect to ground minus acceleration of B with respect to ground. You believe it or not, the entire relative motion is these 4 equations. Now, whatever questions you have done ever in your life on relative motion or any question in kinematics, they have to be done with these equations. Even these 4 equations can be derived. These are the 4 equations which you should be able to do any damn question in this universe on kinematics, or any question that has ever come in JEE or JEE mains or JEE advanced or IIT JEE or whatever called exam I call it. So this is all the theory up till this part. So now in the next class we'll be solving questions on this. We'll also be seeing a very small theory on parabola. You have this entire thing. I will save it right now. I'm going to save it, save as a PDF. So this thing is going to be saved, and I think there will be a group of yours. I will be putting this in your group. You'll have this entire lecture saved on your app, somewhere on your app. You can see this in your group. If you have any doubts, you can ask me at any point in time. And yes, but I'll give you material for question. Don't worry. I'll give you enough material to solve. Enough. I'll give you so much material that you won't be able to solve it. I have so much. Don't worry. I'll give it to you. But let me find out the system of doing it. Whether you have a group or not. My camera is giving me trouble. Whether you have a group of not. Whether you have a group or not. Let me understand this. Let me stop this nonsense video. So let me find a group. Let me find how I'm supposed to share you with this, and I'll get back to you. So until tomorrow is your next class. Be in time, be on time, because I am very finicky about time. I'll always be there 10 minutes before the class. So 10 minutes before the class, if you can come, you can ask your questions directly. So you can do that because you have back-to-back classes after mine. So there won't be possible for you to ask doubt after the class. So 10 minutes before the class, I will be there in the class. If you have any doubts, you can ask me directly at that time. I'll dismiss the class here at this point. I hope you enjoyed the class. You will be there tomorrow, participating more, enjoying physics more. Till that time, I hope that you are safe, healthy, and you stay happy. Bye-bye from now. Take care.